Hey up everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a smashing day or evening wherever you may be in the world. So today's video is going to be about who I think are the worst signings for each of the individual clubs. So the 16 teams, I'm going to be going through each team and I'm going to be picking their worst ever signing in the NRL era. It's not going to count Winfield Cup, New South Wales Rugby League Premiership before that. It's just going to cover the NRL era from 1998 to 2019. So before I get into the video, I'd just like to see if you're enjoying the content and if you're enjoying the channel, to like the videos, to subscribe, make sure that you click that notification bell so you're getting an email when I release a new video. And also if you've got Facebook, go over to Facebook and type in Rugby League History. That's the page I run on Facebook. It's going quite well at the moment. I've got a link in the description below. So I'm going to go 1 through to 16. I'm going to pick the worst ever signing in the NRL era for each club. So let's get into it. The first one is Brisbane. So I think that their worst ever signing in the NRL era was Ben Barber. Ben Barber was signed by Brisbane in 2014. He was a Dally M player. 2012 was in the grand final. 2013 he played one final year with Canterbury and then was signed by Brisbane for reportedly $500,000 a year. He only lasted the 1 year at Brisbane. He had a lot of off-field problems, personal issues, and when Wayne Bennett was coming back as the head coach of Brisbane for 2015, he turned around and says, I don't want Ben Barber at the club, I'm not interested. So Ben Barber was cut. So he was there for 1 year. The club barely made the finals and it cost him 500 grand. So not a good return on investment. The next one, Canberra. I'm going to go with Matt Orford. Similar story. Matt Orford was a Dally M Player of the Year, won a grand final with Manly in 2008. He went over to England. He come back to Australia, signed with Canberra, and he only lasted 6 games. Had a season-ending shoulder injury, and that went Canberra's main person when it comes to the halfback, because he was supposed to come in and help out Terry Campese, but it just didn't happen. He only lasted the 6 games. It kind of threw a bit of a spanner in the works for Canberra's season. But considering that the money that they also signed him on as well, it wasn't a good deal for Canberra. They didn't get much out of it. The next club, Canterbury, I've gone with Aaron Woods. Aaron Woods signed with Canterbury in 2018 after the Big Four saga at West Tigers. It was a highly anticipated move. He signed a 3 or 4 year deal with $3.2 million. He only lasted half a season through poor form, but also because of the club's salary cap issues, they had to cut him. So he only played half a season. He was cut. It wasn't a good move for Aaron Woods, and it wasn't a good move for Canterbury. It cost him a lot of money, and he just never fit in at Canterbury, and it was a bad signing. The next one, Cronulla. I'm going to go with a player that not many people would know of, and his name was Carl Felige. Now, he was supposed to be the next Sonny Bill Williams, but in 2008 when he joined Cronulla, he only played 1 match, and he signed a contract worth $600,000. Now, I've been reading about his story, and he cost Cronulla nearly, well, he said his 1 game cost them $20,000 a minute. That's how much it costs. He only played the 1 game. Something happened where I think either he was homesick or he wasn't happy, he couldn't handle the pressure, and he left at the end of that year. Played for a couple of other teams in reserve grade. Now he plays out in country rugby league, but he was picked to be the next Sonny Bill Williams at the time. He cost Cronulla a lot of money and only played the 1 game. The next club, the Gold Coast, I've picked Jamal Idris. Now, he started off at Canterbury, played State of Origin, was going places, was supposed to be one of the rising stars in the game. And then in 2012, he decided to sign for the Gold Coast for $2.8 million. That was the deal over, I think, 3 or 4 years. His time at the Gold Coast was, he had injury problems, he had personal problems, and he ended up leaving, I think, after 2 years, to citing mental health and also homesickness issues. So he cost Gold Coast a lot of money, delivered very little, and I mean, I could pick so many players that have gone up to the Gold Coast and done now, but I'm going to go with Jamal Idris because he was touted as a rising star, and when he went to the Gold Coast, it kind of all went to shite basically. The next club, Manly. I had a bit of trouble picking someone from Manly because they generally sign players that do quite well, but I've gone with Nate Miles. He did play for Canterbury Bankstown and Eastern Suburbs, and then he was signed by Manly in 2016, or I think it was 2015, for it was $500,000 a year he was on, and he just never looked right at Manly. He's by that stage, I think he's kind of, his best years were behind him. He wasn't so much of a bad boy anymore like he was at Eastern Suburbs and Canterbury, but he for the money that Manly outlaid for him, he delivered very little, and he ended up leaving the club, I think, halfway through the deal, and he was signed by Melbourne. He only played a few games there and retired. Next one, Newcastle. This is also another hard one. I went through a few different players, but I've decided to go for Darius Buys. And the reason I've done that is because he was a dual premiership winner. He'd won with Brisbane 2006, St George 2010. He'd also achieved a lot in the game at that point. He signed with Newcastle following his surrogate father, Wayne Bennett, to Newcastle. And his time at Newcastle, he never seemed to be quite settled. He didn't look happy to be there. His performances were subpar at times, and he ended up leaving the club in 2014, citing mental health issues. I remember he stepped down for quite a bit, missed a few months of rugby league due to that, and I think Newcastle just never got the Darius boy that they were hoping to get. And the following year after he left Newcastle, he ended up playing in the grand final with Brisbane 2015. North Queensland. Ben Barber, once again, I've included him on the list, but I've also included Nelly Mcdonald because Ben Barber never actually played a game. But I think North Queensland will look back on signing Ben Barber with regret because it caused him a lot of negative media attention. It would have cost him a bit of money to get him to Townsville, and he never even played a game. And as we all know, he's banned from playing rugby league until further notice. I don't think he'll ever play again. But the other one, I've gone for Nelly Mcdonald because he only played 5 games. He got injured, and then there was the issue with he crashed a car or he crashed a hire car on Magnetic Island, which is just off the coast of Townsville, and he did a runner, and the club couldn't contact him. So they've signed this player from St George that had a bit of potential, and he only played the 5 games, got injured, and then did a runner, went missing, went fucking AWOL. So the club had no choice but to cut him. But I think once again, North Queensland, I think a lot of the players that they've recruited in the past have done well, but Nelly Mcdonald not so much. He was, like I said, I think most North Queensland fans would agree with me on Nelly Mcdonald. Parramatta. So my club, I've gone for Kieran Farhan. When he signed from Manly, Peter Sterling said that it was the biggest signing in the club's history. Kieran Farhan, as we all know, was a premiership winner with Manly 2011, playing the 2013 grand final for him. He'd already played over, I think, 150 games at that point. And considering his age, he'd played a lot of first grade and he'd represented his country and all sorts. And he was before he signed with us, he was considered one of the best players. But the Kieran Farhan that we got was nothing short of a train wreck. He only played 9 games. He had a shoulder injury, and then all the problems with the salary cap come in. Then he started to cite that he had mental health issues. He had gambling issues. He said he wasn't happy. Then there was also the rumour that his newborn child wasn't his, and it was Brett Stewart's. So there was that caper, and he ended up saying filing a request to leave the club, which was granted, and he cost the club a lot of money. He declared that he would probably never play again, and then 6 months later he ended up at New Zealand, and then 6 months after that he's back with Canterbury Bankstown. So I believe that Kieran Farhan, even though he did have some problems, I think that he kind of exaggerated them a bit to get out of the contract with us. But I'd say he'd be one of the worst. Well, he is the worst signing that we've ever had. Honourable mention, Chris Sando, 500,000 a year, did fuck all. With Penrith, this one was difficult. So I've chosen 2 players. I've gone for Brett Feyman and Sikamanu. So Brett Feyman, he was signed by Penrith from North Queensland. Now 2 years prior, he played in that grand final team that lost to the West Tigers. But with Penrith, he had a few problems, personal problems, and he only featured in 2 games in the 2007 season where the club couldn't last, and he was cut by the club. And also Sikamanu, he was signed from Melbourne. Now I believe Sikamanu is one of the players that's come from Melbourne, where when they're in that Melbourne setup, they look like a good player. When they get out of it, they're not the same player. So when Sikamanu signed for Penrith, it was kind of, oh wow, we got Sikamanu from Melbourne. He didn't really do much in his time with Penrith. I think most Penrith fans would agree with me on that one. He wasn't the same player that he was when he was with Melbourne. The next club, South, I've picked once again 2 players because I think they're kind of neck and neck. So I've gone for Glenn Stewart and Craig Wing. So Glenn Stewart was signed from Manly. I think he was one of the marquee signings for that 2015 year, and he delivered very little on the field. He looked slow at times. He looked off the pace. His form wasn't great, and after only 1 year he was cut. And with Craig Wing, he was their big signing for the 2008 season. He was heralded as the prodigal son. He was coming back from Eastern Suburbs, and because he played for South before, his first game back, he got injured in that tackle. He was out for about 3 months, and from there on, he was just either in and out of the team, injured. The club failed to meet the finals for the 2 years that he was there. He wasn't exactly the same player that he was at Eastern Suburbs or when he had his first spell at South. And I think the money that they outlaid for him and what was kind of hoped and expected of him, it fell short. So I've put Craig Wing in the worst signing of the NRL era for South. The next one, this one was difficult as well. Because with this list I'm only including players that have either finished their career or don't play for the club anymore. So the next club is St George, and I've picked Solomon Hamono. So Solomon Hamono, he was a wrecking ball of a forward back in the day. He had big raps on him. He played for Manly, Canterbury and Balmain. St George signed him for the 2000 season. With big hopes, and he only featured in 2 matches, and the last of which was the 70-10 loss to Melbourne at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. That was the famous match where Anthony Mundine said in the pre-game press conference that St George were the real premiers and Melbourne weren't, and they absolutely got fucking smashed. So after that, he ended up quitting the club and went to boxing, and the rest is history. But I think with the hopes that they had put on his shoulders, I think it was a poor signing. But once again, it wasn't St George's fault. They can't predict the future. They didn't know whether he was going to go to boxing. So the next club, Eastern Suburbs, aka the Sydney Roosters. So I've picked two players again. I've gone with Paul Carter and I've picked Mark Riddell. Now, I love Mark Riddell, obviously, from his time at Parramatta, but when he signed with Eastern Suburbs, he was coming towards the end of his career. He was slow, off the pace. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And I watched his podcast on Bloke in a Bar about a month back, and what I thought was actually true. He did say, I really didn't want to sign with Eastern Suburbs, but my manager kind of pushed me to it. And then halfway through the year, I just went and spoke with Brian Smith, and I said, I don't want to play anymore. I hate playing. I'm just over it. I've had enough. And the other player, Paul Carter, he was, well, we all know about him. He's been sacked by every club that he's ever played for. But I think his signing at Eastern Suburbs, it brought a lot of unnecessary media attention to the club. He didn't play many games, and in the end, because of his actions, not only was he sacked by the club, but also Sean Kenny-Dowell. At the time, he was sort of forced to leave the club because of the night out that they had together with the cocaine and all that caper. So I think Paul Carter, his ability on the field wasn't that great, but he caused a lot of headaches off the field for the club, and that's never a good thing. The next one, Sam Tompkins from New Zealand Warriors. So Sam Tompkins, he's highly rated over here in England, and when he signed with the New Zealand Warriors for $1.5 million a year, big things were expected of him, and he was only at New Zealand for 2 years. The club didn't play well, he didn't play well. New Zealand never got any return on the investment and the time that they put into Sam Tompkins, and after 2 years, he ended up telling the club, look, I'm homesick, I want to come back to England. And then that was the end of that. So I'm pretty sure all you New Zealand Warriors fans out there will agree with me about Sam Tompkins. And last but not least, the West Tigers, and I've gone for Adam Blair. So when Adam Blair signed for West Tigers, he'd just come through that Melbourne production line. And as with a lot of other players in the list, big things were expected of him. He was supposed to be the main forward for the West Tigers, but it just wasn't to be. He was off the pace. His performances weren't great. He looked like a shadow of the player that he used to be when he was at Melbourne. I got a lot of mates that are West Tigers fans. They weren't happy with his performances. I remember lots of abuse, lots of expletives, all that caper thrown at him. I remember going to a couple of games at Leichhardt Oval. He was a deeply unpopular figure on the hill amongst all the fans. Lots of abuse was thrown his way when I went to some of the games. And he ended up departing the club whilst costing him a small fortune. He went to Brisbane and he partially resurrected his career there, but as we know now, he's at New Zealand and he's kind of gone a bit downhill again. But he's my pick for the worst signing for the West Tigers in the NRL era. So that's the 16 clubs. I've tried to make this video as short as possible, trying to breeze through these teams. I hope that you all liked the video, and if you've got any opinions on the players that I've named, then go ahead, leave a comment in the section below. If you agree with me, like the video and also comment. And as I said earlier, make sure that you like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow me on Rugby League history. And I'll catch us all later. I'll be making some new videos coming up very soon. If you got any ideas, also let me know. So anyway, I've been prattling on a bit too longer now, so I'll catch us all later, and ta-ra.